Good evening. My name is Temba Musarira. After thoroughly reading the job description, I sincerely believe that due to my work internship experience and particularly my own personal life experiences, I could be of immense assistance in helping the Makarrata Charter achieve its goal. Being from an African nation that too once had its people oppressed, I share with you a great desire to empower the Aboriginal and Torres Strait peoples by giving them a voice in the Constitution. A constitution is the basic law of a state. It contains the fundamental rules that define the state and its institutions. In relation to the desirability of enshrining a First Nations voice in the constitution, the first key point to touch on is Section 5126, which is the race power. Section 5126 initially only included non-Indigenous Australians, and the Commonwealth reserved and discharged the power to make laws for Indigenous Australians to the states. However, this section was amended by the Aboriginals' 1967 referendum. Consequently, due to the amendment, the Commonwealth now had the power to make laws for all Australians. On the face of it, the referendum seemed to have given Indigenous people equal citizenship with non-Indigenous people. However, provisions such as Section 25 of the Constitution still exist. Although Section 25 penalized states that exercise their right under Section 24, it recognized a state's power to discriminate against the Aboriginal and Torres Strait peoples. Enshrining a First Nations voice would serve as an antithesis of Section 25. Justice Kirby once said, "So long as racist provisions exist in the Australian Constitution, they stand at risk of being used." In the Tasmanian Dam case, Justice Dean concluded that a power to legislate with respect to the people of a race included power to make laws protecting the cultural and spiritual heritage of those people, and was a special law, thus coming under the race power. Another key point to touch upon is Section 5129, the external affairs power. In the Seas and Submerged Lands case, 1975, it was established that the external affairs power extended to matters and things geographically situated outside Australia. Treaties are entered into by the executive branch, but are only binding on the people of Australia once federal parliament has passed the treaties as law. This is in conformity with the separation of powers doctrine. In the Kuwata case, Chief Justice Gibbs said that the Racial Discrimination Act 1975 is not under the race power because it would itself be contradictory to say that a law which applies to the people of all races is a special law. Under international law, any right or freedom to discriminate has been abolished by the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. This convention was domesticated and implemented by the Australian Federal Parliament. The Racial Discrimination Act 1975 employed concepts directly from the convention. Therefore, the Act is not supported by race power but by the external affairs power. In terms of the capability of enshrining a First Nations voice in the Constitution and it winning acceptance in the referendum, I turn to Section 128 of the Constitution, which explains that a change or amendment to the Constitution must first be approved by the Parliament and then put to a vote of the people in a referendum. Since Australia became a nation in 1901, 19 referendums have been held. The Australian people have voted yes for only 8 of the proposed changes. Furthermore, the change would need bipartisan support. In 2012, the Commonwealth Expert Panel created a report called Recognizing for the Benefit of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Peoples in the Constitution. The panel suggested that because racial discriminatory attitudes prevailed when the Constitution was framed, a clear and unambiguous renunciation of racial discrimination was essential and reflected the values of contemporary Australia. Furthermore, they stated that this proposal was crucial to give appropriate recognition to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. In regards to the consistency of a First Nations voice in the Constitution with equal civic rights in Australia, enshrining a First Nations voice in the Constitution for Indigenous Australians would be seen by some as giving them greater rights, which would create inequality amongst all Australians. However, the desire of enshrining a First Nations voice in the Constitution would be embraced and supported by the international community. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples focuses on the standards relating to Indigenous peoples in international law. Furthermore, it recognizes and is concerned with the injustices of colonization and dispossession of their land and seeks to respect and promote the inherent rights of Indigenous peoples, especially their rights to their lands, territories, and resources. Although Australia was one was one of the 4 nations that voted against the declaration. This seems to align with the Prime Minister, Attorney General, and Indigenous Affairs Minister's position on the matter. However, to the executive representatives, I say, justice benefits everybody. Moreover, the declaration is non-binding and is a document that encourages and prescribes states to follow the declaration. In conclusion, the Makarrata Charter will encounter many obstacles. However, should you continue and subsequently prevail in achieving your goal, it will be a great victory. Additionally, contrary to whatever equal rights the Aboriginals' 1967 referendum was thought to have given the Indigenous people, will actually be fulfilled and completed through the proposed amendment. Thank you.